Hello again, my meddling Scooby Doo fans, and welcome to another review into the world of Scooby Doo. So last time I continued my reviews of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo with a review Season 2 Episode 4C of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We talked about how it was a below average short, and while it being, somewhat better than most of the shorts so far, it still wasn't great due to the fact that the villain was weak, the motive was kind of vague and non-existent, there was no atmosphere, and the setting was kind of repetitive and dull. But of course today, I'll be covering Season 2 Episode 5A of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo, titled Scooby's Bullfight, which was released on December 6, 1980. The short synopsis of the first short is, the guys are in Mexico, and as they rise from a siesta to head to the bullfights, they notice that they are already the main attraction at Plaza del Toro, and an angry bull is on the loose. So normally I would tell you guys what DVD I'm watching this particular episode of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo on. Unfortunately, Seasons 2 through 4 of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo have yet to be released on any sort of physical media or DVD. So just like in my past Season 2 reviews, and for future Season 2, 3, and 4 reviews, and for the purposes of this review, I'll be watching the short online, so apologies in advance for the quality of the short. Now, as far as the short's reception is concerned, I'm not really sure how fans feel about this particular short, but considering I and most people in the Scooby Doo community really don't like the shorts and consider them to be awful and terrible, I doubt they're very highly regarded. But with that being said, what's my personal opinion on this particular short of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo? Do I think it's a good and underrated short? Do I think it's another terrible short that continues the trend of the series and the trend of these shorts? Or is it an average, decent, middle-of-the-road short? Well, let's find out, shall we? So let's take a look at the short to see whether I think it's a good or bad short of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo. The short begins with the gang fast asleep in Mexico. Awoken by a rooster, the gang grab a bite of breakfast before looking for the bullfighting arena. Scrappy feeds Scooby and Shaggy some hot tamales, which certainly wake up Scooby and Shaggy rather quickly, and Shaggy wonders where Scrappy got the hot tamales from, and Scrappy points up at the concession stand. Shaggy then figures out that they spent the night sleeping on the arena floor, which to me is very confusing because this is clearly like an actual stadium. This isn't like a rotating thing that travels around the country or anything. This is an actual stadium that's built in a certain place. So naturally, you would think Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy would notice that they drove a mystery machine into a stadium or slept in it. How they would be able to access it is beyond me. Like, does this stadium not lock their doors? How could the mystery machine just drive in there easily? Kind of doesn't really make sense to me. I don't know how this all happened. It just feels like they didn't really think through how Shaggy and Scooby and Scrappy would be in this scenario. I feel like there were better ways to incorporate the gang in this scenario rather than saying, oh, they just accidentally slept the night in the stadium and didn't realize. How the fuck did that happen? We then got 5 minutes of bullfighting hijinks, which had some amusing parts, like the bull trying to box, and the bull getting a penalty during an impromptu hockey game, which I thought were both pretty funny set pieces, especially the hockey game bit. I actually did like that part. Eventually, the gang disguise themselves as a female bull, and the real bull falls in love with them. The jig is up fast, so Scrappy rides the bull and wins the bullfight. And the short ends with another adventure over, and the gang head off on their next adventure.
Scooby Doo.
I'm going to give Season 2 Episode 5A of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo 1 star out of 5. So yeah, this was another terrible short. It did have a little bit of potential, but overall it was a pretty dumb and terrible short that just continued the trend of these shorts and was the same old, not really much new. It did, like I said, had some potential, but the execution on certain things were definitely not the best. So before I get into the negatives of the short and what makes this short terrible and bad, in my opinion, I'll go over the one positive that I actually do have for this bad short. So starting with the positives, my only positive for this particular short is that I thought Shaggy and Scooby were good in the short. They were their usual funny, cowardly selves. Now, it wasn't amazing humor from Shaggy and Scooby. It wasn't the type of humor that, I usually love, but it was at least tolerable enough. It was better than most of the shorts and the show overall has been. It at least got some decent Shaggy and Scooby humor out of me, but it definitely wasn't as amazing as previous shows' Shaggy and Scooby's humor, because previous shows, with Shaggy and Scooby's humor were a lot stronger and had, were a lot better. Whereas with this short, like, it was decent enough due to the set pieces. Like, I like the boxing set piece of Shaggy and Scooby kind of being like boxing coaches in a way. And I did like especially the hockey one. I love that Shaggy and Scooby pretended to be referees, give the bull a penalty, throw him in the penalty box. I thought that was a little bit of a funny moment, and I'll admit those were pretty cool and funny set pieces. And I thought they were cowardly too, and for good reason. They didn't want to get hit by this bull and potentially get really hurt, which I don't blame them, because this bull is definitely, can be dangerous and could definitely harm them. So I don't blame them for being cowardly and wanting to get the hell out of there, because they weren't intending to be a part of this attraction of bullfighting. They were just intending to watch it and, eat some food and have a good time and not be involved in it. I still don't know how Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy ended up driving the Mystery Machine in this, stadium with no security whatsoever, and were able to sleep in it without noticing, and that they had this audience all around them, and Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy didn't wake up once from this loud audience. Like, I don't know. I didn't really care for the setup. I thought it was contrived. I feel like it was a little lazy from Hanna-Barbera. It's like they didn't really give a shit. There were definitely better ways that they could have incorporated Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy into the bullfighting. Like, Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy could have been in the audience, and maybe Scrappy did something to kick it off, or maybe they accidentally dropped something into the arena. I don't know. Something else would have been more plausible, like them being part of the audience and then forced to go into the main event due to some circumstances. Maybe it be Scrappy or something else. Instead, they come up with this contrived reason that somehow Shaggy and Scooby and Scrappy drove the Mystery Machine into this stadium, this bullfighting stadium, with apparently no security or locked doors, and, basically slept there overnight, didn't wake up once when the audience came in. The audience didn't try to wake them up or try to get them out of there, and they just left them there and just decided to make them the main attraction. Like, I don't know, I thought it was very weird setup. But yeah, while this wasn't Shaggy and Scooby's strongest brand of humor, it was at least tolerable and decent enough that I actually did like it. I liked the two set pieces of comedic humor with the boxing and the penalty, for the improvisation hockey game. I especially loved the hockey bit. I thought that was kind of funny. Being a hockey fan myself, I very much loved that, nod. So I did think those were funny little set pieces for Shaggy and Scooby, and I did think they were rightfully cowardly. So yeah, if there's anything to take away from this short, Shaggy and Scooby were at least pretty fun and entertaining to watch in this short. But that's all I got for positives for this particular short, so I think it's about time to get on to the negatives of the short and what makes this short terrible and bad in my personal opinion. So starting with the negatives, my first one is that Fred, Daphne, and Velma are absent from this short yet again. So you guys know by now, I feel like all 5 core members of the gang are vital to the story, and I don't like seeing any member of the gang being absent, so I'm not a fan of Fred, Daphne, Velma being absent from these shorts, and I'm going to continue to reiterate that, even if it's very annoying and repetitive. I have to keep saying it. I don't like Fred, Daphne, Velma being absent. I don't like any member of the gang being absent from a story, because there should not be a reason they should be absent from the story. All 5 core members of the gang are vital to the story and are vital to Scooby-Doo's formula and the show as a whole. So seeing them absent really sucks and is unnecessary. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Fred, Daphne, Velma once again being absent from another short. Then we have Scrappy. Scrappy was pretty weak in the short. While he didn't beat up any innocent people or do any sort of, stupid traps in the short, he was still a little bit annoying. And the main thing that was annoying about him is that he just wouldn't stop trying to fight this bull, essentially. Shaggy and Scooby rightfully want to get out of this situation that they got themselves in. Scrappy continues to try to fight this bull, even though this bull is clearly a threat. It is way too big for him, and Scrappy's going to get his ass handed to him if he keeps trying to fight this bull. And yeah, he doesn't listen and goes headfirst into a bad situation. Like, does he not learn anything at all? Like, sometimes it feels like when Scrappy does make steps in the right direction and great teamwork and learns, he just ends up making these boneheaded decisions. And yeah, once again, this was just another short where he just jumps headfirst into danger, and Shaggy and Scooby got to put their lives in danger yet again because Scrappy didn't want to listen to, Shaggy and Scooby and get the hell out of there. So yeah, I found it a bit of annoying that Scrappy wouldn't stop trying to fight the bull and kept keeping Shaggy and Scooby in the situation. in this kind of potentially dangerous situation when they're not equipped to handle this bullfighting. They didn't sign up for it, and Shaggy and Scooby rightfully don't want to be involved in it, but Scrappy's involving them in it now. And yeah, it's just like, he just was not great in the short. He was a bit of annoying character in the short. Like, he just wasn't that great. Next, we have the villain of the short, who I thought was weak as well. So the main villain of the short is this bull. So this is the first short to have an animal as the villain, and like not a person dressed up as an animal, like an actual animal that's a villain in the short. And the bull did have potential to be a good villain because he could have been intimidating and threatening, but the problem is that the short doesn't really portray him enough in that way to where I find him a believable threat. Even though I said that, you know, there's the potential for threat and danger, which is true, I don't think, villain-wise, I don't think they do enough to portray that, you know, to make this bull feel like a actual threatening villain or intimidating villain in this particular short. It might be because they try, you know, these comedic set pieces and, you know, a lot of these hijinks, which is okay. It works for Shaggy and Scooby, but they don't do enough to really enhance the bull's sense of, you know, menace or threat or danger level. I think if they showed the bull like doing something pretty, you know, dangerous to like, or intimidating or threatening to like a previous bullfighter, maybe before Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy did. Maybe if they showed some guy getting injured like after his fight, maybe that would have enhanced the stakes and would have shown like, oh, this Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy can get really hurt. And I'm not saying they couldn't have gotten hurt, but I don't think the short really did a good job portraying the bull as threatening or intimidating. So to me, I don't find the bull to be scary or creepy or threatening or intimidating because they don't really do enough to really convey that in the short. And also, he's just kind of an animal. Like, there's not really much to him that's really scary, in my opinion, or creepy. He's just a regular bull. But he's not entertaining to watch either. He's not fun or entertaining to watch. He's just kind of a regular animal who's just forced into this situation that, you know, he doesn't want to be in. You know, it's not his fault that he's part of this bullfighting, you know, arena. They just, you know, he's just forced to be a part of it, and he probably doesn't want to be, but he's forced to do it. So it's just an animal put in a bad situation, and he's not really villainous per se, and he's just kind of this bull who just is doing what they're asking of him because he has nothing else to do, so he has to do it. So yeah, the bull was a pretty weak villain. The bull had the potential to be a good villain. He could have been threatening or intimidating if they showed some menace or threat level to him. Maybe if he had hurt a previous bullfighter, or maybe if he had destroyed a couple things. I mean, he kind of did, but not enough, in my opinion. Like, there just wasn't enough that the short conveyed to say this bull is a threat and a danger to Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy. If they conveyed that, I might have actually given the bull a pass and might have considered him one of the better villains of these shorts. But as it stands, he was a pretty weak villain overall. There was also no outside of costume element in this particular short, so yet again we have another actual, you know, animal. You know, it's not someone dressed up as an animal. It's not like a real monster or ghost per se, and it's not a real human. It's a real animal this time. But yes, it's a real bull. It's not somebody dressed up as a bull. There's no mystery to the villain's identity. This is an actual real animal that's just part of a bullfighting event that Shaggy and Scooby and Scrappy get mixed up in. It's just a bad situation for both of them. And yeah, there's no costume element, no mystery or mystique to the bull's identity. We know this is an actual real bull. There's no mystery to it. We know that this is an actual real animal. This is a real bull that's part of this bullfighting event. There are also no suspects in this short. Because there's no costume element to the villain and no mystery to the villain's identity, Shaggy and Scooby and Scrappy don't have any pool of suspects to gauge from, because we know that the villain is this real bull. You know, there's no, it's pretty clear cut that this is a bullfighting event and that this is a real bull. There's no mystery or mystique to the villain's identity, so we have no suspect pool to gauge from to decide, you know, who could possibly be the villain of the short. because we know who the villain of the short is. There's also no motive in the short. There's no tangible motive that this bull has. It's literally just an animal that is put in this unfortunate situation of bullfighting. So it's a little bull that's put in this bullfighting event. It probably doesn't want to be there, but it's forced to be there. And it doesn't really have a motive. It just kind of is forced to attack Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy for the audience's amusement. So it's not really, you know, motivated by anything. It's not, he has no layered motive. It doesn't even have a motive at all. It's just an animal that's forced to participate in an event that it doesn't want to be in. So yeah, there's no real clear-cut motive for the animal, the bull. It's just a regular animal that's put there to be part of you know, an event for the Mexican audience and any potential tourists that are watching this bullfighting event for their amusement. There's also no mystery in the short. There's no lingering questions throughout the short that I want answered. There's no mystery on the villain or the setting. It's completely devoid of any mystery. It is literally just 7 minutes of bullfighting hijinks. That's essentially what it is. It is 7 minutes of bullfighting hijinks. No mystery, no plot, no story, just fun, wacky shenanigans for 7 minutes. Not as egregious as some other shorts, but still kind of boring. Not even kind of. Pretty dull, in all honesty. So yeah, there's no overlying mystery or plot or story to the short. It is literally just fun, wacky, goofy hijinks shenanigans of bullfighting for, you know, 7 minutes to distract kids, essentially. There's also no clues in the short. Because there's no mystery, there's no clues for Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy to find to help narrow down a list of suspects, mainly because the villain is an actual animal and bull. There's no mystery to the villain's identity. There's no costume element. There's no pool of suspects to gauge from. We know who the villain is from the jump, so it doesn't do that. There's also no clues to help point towards a motive, because the animal doesn't have a clear-cut, distinct motive. It's just put in a situation that it doesn't want to be in. So there's no clues whatsoever that Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy find to do either of these functions. It's completely devoid of it, because there's no mystery either. There was a lack of atmosphere in the short. I felt no tension or suspense or creepiness or eeriness from either the main villain of the short or the setting. I wasn't fearing for the gang's safety. I wasn't on the edge of my seat wondering what's going to happen next. Didn't find anything creepy or eerie about the setting or the villain. Now, I'm not... The reason I say lack of compared to no atmosphere, like most shorts so far, is that there was potential for atmosphere. Mainly, I could have feared for the gang's safety, and I could have been on the edge of my seat if this bull was presented as a real threat. That's the thing. If the bull was presented as a real threat and was intimidating and threatening and dangerous, not only would he as a villain be better, but there would actually be some atmosphere to it, because then I would actually fear for the gang's safety, and I'd be like, oh shit, Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy could get messed up by this bull. Instead, I don't feel that, because they just go for the goofy, wacky hijinks route, rather than selling the danger of this animal and the danger of this sporting event. So yeah, there was potential for atmosphere, but they definitely didn't capitalize on it. The execution was terrible. There's a clear lack of atmosphere. It could have been there. There definitely was a sliver of a hope, a sliver of a chance that there could have been some atmosphere in this short. But as it stands, they didn't execute it properly enough for me to feel any sort of atmosphere at all. So to me, I felt there was a lack of atmosphere in the short. Potential, but not executed enough to where it was there. And my final negative is I found the setting of the short to be dull as well. So the main setting of the short is Plaza del Toro in Mexico. It's essentially this bullfighting arena in Mexico. The problem that I have with it is just it doesn't really stand out at all. It's a very boring setting to explore. It's a generic bullfighting arena, and I've said this in the past with sporting stadiums that I love the idea of a sporting stadium as a Scooby setting, and while they haven't executed it well enough just yet, they've kind of dropped the ball with it for the most part. It's not that they can't execute it well. They just don't make the sporting setting, the sports stadiums essentially, stand out in any way. They have no layers or fun, gimmicks to them. The setting doesn't look distinct or unique in any way. It feels like a generic version of what you would see of an everyday stadium, whether it be football or baseball or a bullfighting arena or anything else. It doesn't really have a flair to it. The stadium needs, it does have that Coliseum kind of look to it, which is okay and kind of cool, but I needed more to it to make it feel like, wow, this is a cool looking stadium. Look at that set piece. Look at that set piece. Like, it needed some cool set pieces. You notice how in a lot of sporting events, they have these stadiums that have these really cool designs and, you know, interesting gimmicks and sounds and, you know, just all these little set pieces that are throughout the stadium to make it stand out. And I just feel like they don't really incorporate that into these sporting, you know, event stadiums type settings, at least not yet. They may in the future, but they haven't really capitalized on these types of settings. So there was potential, but I think it was overall dull and a little too generic for my taste. It wasn't really a fun setting to explore, and it was pretty boring. It was pretty generic and boring, so I wasn't really keen on the setting of the short. Overall, guys, I would personally not recommend the short to fans and newcomers of the show. While it did have potential to be better than it was, I still think it's quite dull, and the main reason for that is that it has nothing but wacky hijinks and shenanigans for 7 minutes. I just feel like this short, while it certainly had the potential to be better than it was, and it could have been below average, and it still wouldn't have been great, but it could have been at least a little bit better and at least more serviceable. At the end of the day, it lacked in execution of its villain and its atmosphere, and that certainly is a shame, because it could have made it at least one of the better shorts out there, and it ended up dropping the ball on that, so we ended up with a pretty dull short, in all honesty. It's just too dull because it's mostly just wacky hijinks and shenanigans for 7 minutes with this bullfighting that doesn't really have much story or plot or mystery to it. So yeah, could have been better than it was. Certainly had a little bit of potential. Wouldn't have been great, wouldn't have been average, but it at least would have been in the below average category, which is the category of shorts that are not often, you know, the norm. Most of these shorts are pretty one-star, pretty terrible. So when you come across these ones, it's at least a little bit refreshing because it has something there. And the short did have a little bit of something there, but not enough to make it, you know, at least 2-star worthy or below average. It was still terrible. It was still dull, but not one of the worst shorts in the world. Still not great, but not one of the worst. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Please give a like if you did. Comment down below your thoughts on the short. Do you like the short? Do you disagree with me? Do you think there are more positives that you see that I don't see? Do you like the short? Do you think it's really good and underrated? Do you hate the short? I'd be interested in that as well. Do you agree with me? Do you think this is a terrible and not so great short that either does have a positive or no positives whatsoever? Or maybe you think it's below average and maybe a little bit better, but still not great and has more positives in it that I didn't see, but still not a great short. Or is it somewhere in the middle where you think it's average and decent and okay, but it's neither good nor bad? I'm curious for your thoughts, so let me know. And subscribe for more Scooby Doo content like this, or if you're just interested in my other content, obviously I have more Scooby Doo reviews on the way. This is a Scooby focused channel, so we cover all things ranging from the TV shows, movies, video games, and books. So if you're a diehard Scooby Doo fan like me, or just a casual or a newcomer, and you love talking all things Scooby Doo and want to join in on each individual discussion, for each individual TV show episode review, movie review, video game let's play review, or book review, then come join the channel and experience some amazing Scooby Doo content. And finally, before I let you guys go, I recently created a new YouTube membership. It's nothing major or special. It's not mandatory at all, but just something that, you know, if you want to go one extra step supporting the channel and myself, I would greatly appreciate it. I would be very humble for a small YouTuber like myself to get any little bit of support that I can. You would definitely help not only the small YouTuber out for the future, but also the future of this channel. And I could, you know, it'll definitely help out the future of this channel as well as, you know, helping this small, humble YouTuber out. And if you do decide to join my YouTube membership, you will get perks so for different tiers. So for my first tier, which is the Mystery Solver tier, you'll get perks such as custom loyalty badges, custom emojis, shoutouts at the end of my videos, as well as in my descriptions for my new videos. Members only live chats where you get the first say in my future public live streams. So you get first priority and get to send in messages first before anyone else. I don't know if I'll do that in the future. Maybe, maybe not, depending on if you guys would be interested in public live streams or live streams in general. You also get access to behind the scenes photos and personal updates that I don't share anywhere else. You can also sign up for my second tier, which is the Master Sleuth tier. For the Master Sleuth tier, you get everything that I just mentioned previously, but you also get early access to new videos before anyone else. You also get to participate in members-only polls. So essentially, you don't get to dictate the main TV show episode reviews. I'm going to be doing that in order. That's the mainline stuff. So you're not going to be dictating that. But what you will dictate is the secondary stuff, like Scooby Doo movies, video games, books, specials, crossover episodes, shorts, anything that we can accompany along with the mainline TV show episode reviews that you guys would be interested in me covering. You would get to decide that. You would also get to decide non-Scooby stuff, like the shows that I didn't finish, like Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir, Sleepy Hollow, Treadstone, and franchises that I enjoy, like superheroes like Marvel or DC, action heroes like James Bond or John Wick, horror such as Psycho and Saw, sci-fi horror like Alien and Predator, monsters like Godzilla and King Kong, mystery like Sherlock Holmes, and also, you know, just any other any other franchise that I want to cover that's related to that. Maybe even something like The Fugitive, which I'm also big on. That's another project I would love to cover possibly in the future. But just like any of that stuff, you guys would be able to dictate that as well for secondary projects. So essentially, you would get full access to not only secondary projects, but you would get to dictate my future summer specials and Halloween specials and Scooby months, and determine essentially what I'm going to cover for those specific special months and what secondary projects I will upload alongside the mainline Scooby Doo TV show episode reviews. Maybe you might even be able to dictate what video game I, can continue that I haven't finished yet, like my original Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 playthrough that I didn't finish, or Marvel Spider-Man with the 2018 game, the Insomniac one. Maybe some new ones like Assassin's Creed or some other, games that I like, whether it be superhero related like Marvel DC, maybe some Bond games, just anything in general. Like, I definitely have a lot of ideas for what secondary projects we can do. Obviously, Scooby-Doo secondary projects would be the main thing, but I will definitely sprinkle in some non-Scooby-Doo related secondary projects that maybe you guys might be interested in me covering sometime in the future. But yeah, if you sign up for the Mystery Solver tier at $2.99, you get the perks that I mentioned previously, loyalty badges that are custom emojis, shoutouts, members-only live chats, and behind-the-scenes photos and personal updates. And for $4.99, you get the Master Sleuth tier, where you get access to all those things, plus early access to new videos, and members-only polls to dictate my secondary projects for my non-special months, which is November to May, and my special months, like the summer special from June to August, my Scooby month, which is in celebration of Scooby-Doo's anniversary in September, and my Halloween special, which is in celebration of Halloween during October. So if you're interested in joining my YouTube membership, I would very much appreciate it. You would definitely be helping out the small YouTuber, and I would very much appreciate that. It would go a long way to supporting me and supporting the channel. Of course, it's not mandatory. You don't have to. But if you want any, more secondary content, if you want more control on my, future content to accompany alongside the mainline TV show episode reviews, I may even incorporate members-only videos, though I'm not sure yet. I'll have to decide. If you guys have any ideas, possibly, of what Scooby-Doo members-only video topics that you guys would be interested in, maybe I might add that as well. But yeah, if you would like to help out this humble YouTuber and go one extra step to supporting, my channel, I would very much appreciate it. If you don't, that's fine. You'll still get access to all my public videos. But those are the perks that you would get if you decide to join my YouTube membership. I thank you so much in advance if you do decide to join my YouTube membership and helping this small, humble YouTuber out, as well as my channel. In my next video, I will be back tomorrow to continue my reviews of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo with a review of Season 2, Episode 5B of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo, titled Scooby Ghost West. I'm not really sure what to expect with this short, but considering most of the shorts have been terrible up to this point, I'm not really huge on them and not looking forward to them. I have very low expectations going into it. Probably might be the same old, who knows. But if you want to know my thoughts on Season 2, Episode 5B of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo, Scooby Ghost West, then come join me tomorrow. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, peace out.